Hello, SLU students. My name is Rodney Malone, and I am a professor of philosophy in SLU's SPS General Education program. I've been teaching at SLU for 10 years, primarily in the philosophy department, although I do have a master's degree in medieval history, and so I also teach history courses from time to time. But you are on this watching this video because you are enrolled in the Introduction to Philosophy, Philosophy 1055. This is section 12 of the SPS Spring 1 term. Welcome to philosophy and welcome to our time together. We only have 8 weeks and there is lots to think about and there is lots to learn. So we are going to have a pretty rigorous calendar that moves quickly each week. But it is about some of the most important and interesting questions and answers that anyone has ever given to the human experience in the Western tradition. As in so much in our history and our culture, we begin with the Greeks, and two famous names I'm sure you've heard of, but perhaps you've never studied. That of Plato and Aristotle will form the bulk of the course. We will study Plato for the first 4 weeks of the term, and then his student Aristotle will cover modules 5 and 6. And then finally, we'll study something which many people consider modern philosophy. He represents for us the last 500 years of good quality, careful thinking. His name is René Descartes. The way we will study this is I will give you some core text readings. You will work through the material on your own, guided though by my own reading questions that I have produced for you. You will use those journal reading questions, study them, answer them, submit them back to me via the journal portal that you will find each weekly module. And also you will dialogue with your classmates and myself about the key topics from those primary text readings. We will do this through the discussion board app or mechanism on Blackboard. There will typically be 2 different discussion boards each week. The first both will derive from the primary readings. The first you'll begin posting on Wednesday of the weekly module, continuing again throughout the rest of the week. And then the second discussion board you won't begin until Friday, of the weekly module. Now, since we are not on ground, we're online, we want to have a consistent discussion that is sustained with your classmates over an extended period of time, just like we were if we were in a classroom. In order to achieve this end, I require that the initial posting for the first discussion board is on Wednesday or is by Wednesday of the weekly module. Then I expect that each one of you will then follow up within 48 hours to those initial posts from both your own class and your classmates and my own by Friday of the module week, and then come back a third time on that first discussion board by Sunday night. The second discussion board, which won't begin until Friday of the week, your initial post will be by Friday, but then you will post 2 times over the course of the weekend. This means, of course, if you wait until Sunday night to post on both discussion boards, not only will you be less effective in dialoguing with your classmates and less helpful to us in learning, but you will also not score well on the discussion board 10-point rubric. The third piece of scoring assessments for the course will be paper writing. There will be 3 of these, the first 2 of which I call short papers. The first short paper is written by the end of week 4. The second short paper is written by the end of week 6. Both of these short papers will give you a chance to carefully think through some of the most interesting arguments that you have encountered in the course. The first short paper will derive from Plato, and the second will derive from Aristotle. These papers that you write typically will not be of excellent quality because for most of us, this is our first chance to write careful, clear arguments in a discipline as careful and concise as philosophy. And so what I've done is the final paper is actually a revision of one of the two earlier short papers. I call it a term paper, and it is not merely a revision or rewriting or restating of the initial short paper. It probably will be, for most of us, a fundamental revision and extension of that earlier paper. So my comments will guide you through what you did in the first short paper or second short paper that you'd like to fix. It will give you some bit of instruction about where to go from there. And then that third paper, the term paper, the scoring will actually replace the score that you earned on that first short paper. So this is an opportunity for us, even though we're not together in a classroom, this is an opportunity for us to learn from our earlier product, to improve upon that product, and then get to a place where at the end of our 8 weeks, we can feel proud about the kind of careful thinking that we've done. Another way that I attempt to encourage everybody to mimic the intimacy that we typically encounter in an on-ground class is to dialogue with your classmates, not only via Blackboard, but also some of you are in a cohort, you know one another, you've met each other in previous courses. Feel free to continue and sustain those relationships by phone, by email, by text, by whatever means you need in order to make sense of the kinds of ideas that you're encountering. I, of course, am equally available. My phone number and SLU email are in Blackboard, and you should text, call, or email me at any time that you feel like you don't know exactly what is happening. Another way in which we dialogue with one another is through the discussion board. There is a question and answer thread that you can ask questions of me, and then I will do my best to answer those within 24 hours. And those are, of course, public. So if you have questions that pertain to everybody, that's typically a good place to do that. So that is the course. That is the sequence in which we anticipate meeting your needs this term. Before I sign off here, a little bit about me. As I mentioned, I have been teaching philosophy for just over a decade. I earned my master's degree in philosophy from the University of St. Louis in 2006. I also have a master's degree from St. Louis University in medieval history. I earned that in 2016. And I also am a teacher at a local charter high school called Live for Life Academy. So when I'm not spending my computer time with you guys during the day, I am teaching 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders history, philosophy, and civics. I have a family. I am married to a lovely wife, and we have 3 kids. The oldest is almost 12. The oldest girl is 10, and then my youngest daughter is almost 8 years old. I've also answered some of the questions in the introductory discussion board posts about hobbies and interests that I have, and I am anxious to learn a little more about you guys as well. It's going to be a great term. It will be fast and furious, but I am here to help. So please reach out in any way if you need any help.